to the Thought Snob Podcast. I'm Paula Swope. Let's get snobby. I want to teach you how to align your energy with luck. You can use your brain to do this, and I'll teach you how. But before I do that, I want you to understand how and why the technique I'll teach you works. Now, since I've started using this technique, I've had several strokes of luck, and today's podcast episode is about one of those strokes of luck. I don't believe in luck the way that most people believe in luck, like the way luck has historically been defined and perceived by most people. I don't believe in it like that. I know that it's created. I know that it's not something that just happens by chance to some people, and some people it doesn't happen. Luck is created. We create luck or loss. And what we tell our brain often determines which L we invite in. Now, I want to clarify this in case this is a foreign concept to you. It certainly was to me when I first learned about this many, many years ago. So there isn't a specific luck center in the brain, but the reticular activating system, RAS, and prefrontal cortex play a key role in aligning our focus, perception, and behavior with what we believe, expect, or tell the brain to look for, including luck. Research in cognitive neuroscience shows that the brain is designed to seek evidence for whatever belief it holds as true. Now, this phenomenon is known as confirmation bias. Your brain literally scans the environment for proof to support your dominant thoughts. Now, this is important. When you affirm that you're lucky, you are actually programming your brain to filter and validate that narrative. Now, you can look all of this up, by the way. I'm not making this up. This is science. What I'm about to tell you is basic brain science. You can fact check me all day long. Let's start with number one here, what I'm going to talk about. RAS, your reticular activating system. Your RAS filters what you focus on. So it's a bundle of nerves at the base of your brainstem that acts like a filter between your conscious mind and the external world. When you tell yourself, I'm lucky, or good things are always happening to me, the RAS starts tuning into opportunities, signs, and synchronicities that align with that belief. The RAS is also responsible for that moment when you're thinking of a specific car model, for instance, and then you suddenly see it everywhere. That's not magic. It's perception filtered by intention. The same mechanism can apply to financial luck, love, opportunities, or healing. When you claim, I'm lucky, the RAS takes that seriously, like a directive, and starts filtering your reality accordingly. If you believe you're lucky, your RAS will highlight positive cues. If you believe you're unlucky, your RAS will highlight obstacles and threats. I've been on both sides of the fence. I've lived it. I know it's true. This is why lucky people often just notice more opportunities, and they know when to say yes and when to say no. Second thing, the prefrontal cortex. That directs decision making. This area governs planning, intention, and behavior. If you plant a belief that you're lucky, the prefrontal cortex helps align your actions with that identity. You take more chances, like I just said, you say yes to opportunities, and you notice when the timing is right, all of which increase perceived luck. The prefrontal cortex doesn't just direct like logical planning, it's also the seat of imagination. When you visualize lucky outcomes, and that's how I changed my life, by the way, and those of you who watch the podcast regularly and have read my book and follow me on social media, you know that. So when you visualize lucky outcomes, you're activating the same regions of the brain that would fire if those things were already happening. This is known as mental rehearsal, and it's been proven to enhance performance in athletes, speakers, and what do you know, manifestors. The third thing, neuroplasticity. This reinforces what you repeatedly tell yourself. The brain rewires itself based on repetition and emotional intensity. So when you repeatedly affirm lucky beliefs and attach emotion to them, like excitement, your brain starts building neural pathways to support and expect more of that experience. Studies have shown that the brain physically rewires itself through consistent thoughts, feelings, and intentions. The more you tell your brain, I'm lucky, and feel the truth of that, the stronger those neural pathways become. And eventually, lucky becomes not something that happens to you, but something that happens through you. You can train your brain to align with luck, and here's a way to do it. Right now, I want you to repeat this statement silently to yourself or out loud. If you can't say it aloud right now, do it when you can. I have found that this is most effective when you say it out loud, but thinking it, silently repeating it to yourself for right now, hey, that's good enough. I understand you might be at work or something and don't want people to hear you, so silently repeating it, totally fine. Here's your statement. I am lucky. Things always work out for me. I'm lucky. Now, take it a step further and think about a challenging situation you might be facing right now. Don't focus on the situation too long, just identify it briefly. And with that situation in mind, I want you to ask yourself this question. Is it possible for this situation to pan out in my favor? Well, the answer is yes. It's always going to be yes if nothing has been decided. If nothing has been decided, then there are ample opportunities for things to work out to your highest good. As you go about your day, I want you to use this question as a personal mantra when challenging situations present themselves. Every day when you wake up, I want you to tell your brain that you're lucky. Okay, my recent stroke of good luck is something else. And I want you to know that as I sit here, I'm on my last leg because I've been at Churchill Downs for the Kentucky Derby for 3 straight days. My husband Will and I went to Thurby, Oaks, and Derby. And my good luck story is associated with Oaks Day. So I'll start here. It's backtracked to a couple months ago. I fixed up an empty space upstairs in our house and I turned it into a meditation room. I'd wanted to do that for a long time and just did it. And it's so cool. Like it's fully equipped with crystals and sound bowls and pillows. And it's like my little spiritual haven. Now I spend time in my meditation room every morning and every evening. The first thing I do during my morning sessions is say, I am the luckiest woman in the world. Now, that's a statement I just started using a couple of months ago. I am the luckiest woman in the world. And then I follow it with abundance flows to me effortlessly. Everything works out in my favor. Everything works out in my favor. Everything works out in my favor. That's a powerful statement. I've used affirmations and mantras for roughly 20 years, and they've served me well, but it wasn't until I developed an awareness of how my brain comprehends these statements that I crossed over to a whole new level of manifestation power. And as I say these statements each morning, I think about how my brain finds ways to align me with the energetic frequency of luck. And I actually get excited about it, wonder what's coming kind of thing. And I also think to myself, especially when I get, a whiff of, what's on the news, the world is in rough shape, but I'm not. This is a form of mental immunity. You're choosing not to absorb the world's panic or scarcity programming. When you assert, I'm not, you're invoking cognitive sovereignty, a psychological power move that protects your mindset from hijack. Well, that's not denial, that's just straight up discipline. Now, some people haven't figured out how to use their brains yet, because truthfully, no one teaches us this growing up. They don't talk about this in elementary, middle, and high school. That's when we need to be learning about it when we're young. We're handed a brain with no manual. And those people are walking around using the world to shape their mind instead of using their mind to shape their world. That's where everybody gets all messed up. Now, my miraculous stroke of luck began in an unlikely way. 2 weeks ago, I deep cleaned our back patio area. And I do this every year around April, May, and I do my own little version of pressure washing out there. And it's really, really slick when it's wet. And all day long, as I cleaned the patio floor, I thought, I cannot fall down. I ain't got time for no injury. I cannot fall down. And I thought this all day, and I was kind of, walking around just like being super careful, thinking, man, I cannot fall, because I always clean out there barefoot because shoes just get in the way. I mean, they just do. They slow me down, so I just do it barefoot, and it's really slick. So I thought that all day long, I cannot fall, I cannot fall. Well, that night, I bit the dust in epic fashion on our bathroom floor. Our bathroom floors are, like marble tile, so they're like the universe's banana peel. And I slipped in a puddle of water and bam, hit the ground. Landed on the right side of my left knee, and it hurt like a mother, and it still isn't completely healed. So knowing I had Derby coming up and Derby Day, requires a whole lot of walking. We had no plans of going to Oaks at that time. I was just Derby and Derby. And I told Will we needed to look around for a parking pass at Churchill Downs to eliminate at least, some of the walking I was going to have to do. During our search for a parking pass, that's all we were doing, we ran across someone who happened to have 2 tickets to the mansion at Churchill Downs on Oaks Day. Now, I'm going to stop here because most of you probably don't know what the mansion is. I only learned about it 3 years ago, and I've been going to the Derby for an eternity. The mansion is relatively new. I think it opened in maybe 2012, I think. It's highly exclusive. It's invitation only. People are even asked to make like a 3-year commitment. They have to sign a contract, and the tickets are anywhere from, this is no exaggeration, like $16,000 per seat to over 30 grand per seat. It's an 8,000 square foot space that holds about 300 people. Now keep in mind, if you're not familiar with the Kentucky Derby, over 100,000 people are there for the Derby and Oaks and all that week, leading up. I think for last year, for the 151st Kentucky Derby, or no, it was the 150, sorry. This year was 151. Last year was 150. Last year, I think the head count exceeded 156,000. So I'm trying to tell you how massive this event is. Only 300 of those people have access to the mansion. And this year, Will and I were 2 of those people. So to enter the mansion, you have to be escorted by a concierge. And there's a secret door and a secret elevator. It's wild. It's wild. And the level of extravagance is unfathomable for Churchill Downs. You are catered to hand and foot. There are Chanel makeup artists in the women's bathroom. The selection and availability of food and drinks are out of this world. You have private sky terrace viewing areas on the veranda, uninterrupted views, no riffraff, no one blocking your view. And the terrace is positioned like right at the finish line, like you're kind of like hanging like over. It's incredible. Now, since I learned about the mansion, I've talked about it with numerous people, and 99% of those people, their immediate reactions were, well, I'll never make it up there. Or, I mean, I'm talking this is immediate. The minute I start talking about this place, they made comments like that, or they'll immediately just go to, well, that's too rich for my blood. Oh, well, I can forget about that. It's statements like that. And I would just stand there and think, I don't really feel that way. I feel like I feel like I could go to the mansion. I mean, not once did I ever think I wouldn't. Now, there was a time many, many, many years ago in my former life, I would have thought the exact same way if someone had brought that up to me. My immediate thought would have been, well, I can forget about that. That ain't happening. It would have been, just a chain of thoughts. And that's the difference in mindsets. It's crazy because your mindset absolutely determines your experiences and your luck. Okay. Now, I never really tried and never thought about how or when I would go to the mansion. It's just something that I wanted to do, and I was open to it. I just remained open to going, and I spent Oaks Day 2025 at the mansion. So Will and I stumbled across these tickets about 3 days before Oaks. And when the opportunity presented itself, we didn't spend much time deliberating. We jumped on it, and I'm so glad we did because I had the time of my life up there. And I had an epiphany too. Everything I do, I look for ways to learn, and I had an epiphany. And my epiphany is what inspired the topic for this podcast episode. I love to watch people. Like, most of my spiritual wisdom and intellect have come from people watching. I observed many different people and many different personalities in the mansion, but one person kind of stood out above the rest. Sophia. Sophia from Park Avenue. She was the first person who caught my attention. She sat adjacent to us, and she was just stunning. She was stunning. And I don't throw that word around. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. She was stunning. Absolute perfection from head to toe. Tall, thin, bone structure that just can't be bought. This glorious, coal black hair. I mean, she just stood out. There were tons of gorgeous women there, but Sophia she had something they didn't. But she came off as completely unapproachable. I would have never approached this woman. Never. Later on in the day, I was sitting at our table and I was, fumbling through my handbag. So my head was down, I was fumbling through, and someone gently touched my hand and said, "Excuse me." And I looked up and it was her. And I was like, what the hell? And she was so sweet and nice, and she acted a little skeptical about approaching me, and she just wanted to know where I'd gotten my hat. Well, that led to female bonding, and I told her all about my milliner because I love my milliner. The hat girls make almond derby hats, and they can't be beat. So I told Sophia all about the hat girls, and before the day ended, Sophia wanted to take my picture so she could remember me and what my hat looked like. And oh my God, my hat was so badass. The Edwina. And so the hat girls was Rachel and Kate. And Rachel designed, the Edwina, my hat was named after Rachel's late grandmother. So the hat was, not only badass, but it was, pretty special. Now, my encounter with Sophia is significant. If I'd been in the same room with a woman like her 25 to 30 years ago, I would have been so threatened by her and so jealous of her that I would have been eaten alive. My jealousy would have ruined my day because instead of being present and enjoying my time, I would have been stuck in the past and in the future because I would have spent my time comparing my life to hers. We don't know anything about anybody's life. You don't know nothing. They may look great, they may be beautiful, but you don't know anything about their life. But this is something that I did not take into consideration when I was a thought slob. If you'll remember, the acronym is self-loathing overrides better. And then you transition to a thought snob, see new objective beliefs. I'll talk more about that here in just a second. You start looking at the facts. So if you run into we'll call a Sophia, and you feel a twinge of jealousy, and your mind starts, making up a story about how much better her life is than yours. But the facts are you don't know nothing about her life. I didn't have one twinge of jealousy, not one. I immediately admired Sophia and thought, what I would give to know her story. But I still judged her. It's human nature. I judged her as unapproachable, and she ended up approaching me. A lady that was sitting with her later in the day told me that Sophia had been talking about my hat all day. Now, I'm just telling you this because you cannot judge. You can make observations, weigh the facts, and make inferences, but judging is never accurate. Neither is jealousy. Jealousy is the most misdirected emotion ever. Think about why you're jealous of someone. It's because they have something you want. So why not learn from them? Here's a lesson to learn from Sophia and a way to tame jealousy down, because it will destroy you if you don't. In my book, I say it's an interchangeable term with hate. What if Sophia, now she's a real human being, but also my metaphor for teaching you this, okay? Now, what if Sophia just learned how to use her brain sooner than you? Maybe she had a school teacher that said, hey, you can use your RAS to create lucky circumstances for yourself, and here's how to do it. And maybe when she was a little girl, she got into the habit of saying and thinking daily that she was the luckiest girl in the world. We all have a brain, and I've never heard anyone say they hate someone because they're jealous of their brain. How could you possibly be jealous of someone because they have the same thing you do? We all have a brain. When you view the Sophias of the world from this angle, you suddenly develop a perspective of the world, and the role you play in it, and that perspective empowers you instead of taking you down. Now, I'm actually the lucky one in this scenario because I'm the one who looked up and spent Oaks Day in the mansion, but I'm telling you my Sophia story to help you, to help drive this lesson home. Now, I'll wrap up by pointing out that I gave you two real-life examples of how I used my brain to my advantage and disadvantage. The accident I had in the bathroom was without a shadow of a doubt a manifestation of what I'd been deeply focused on all day. You got to watch what you say deeply focused on, especially if it's for an extended period. That wasn't just an unlucky coincidence. I had been thinking about it all day. Then landing tickets to the mansion, which doesn't happen. I can't stress that enough. It just doesn't. Like, nobody could believe it. Landing tickets to the mansion was an extraordinary manifestation created incrementally. Every morning when I play my sound bowls, or before I meditate or do my breath work or whatever, I have been saying, I am the luckiest woman in the world. Everything works out for me. Everything I desire desires me more. Will and I have it made. And I am more open to unexpected opportunities than I've ever been in my life, to the point that I'm expecting them. And I'm just like, hey, I'm here for it. What wonderful, miraculous thing is coming for me next? So why me? Why am I so lucky? It's not because God has blessed me more than anyone else. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. I'm lucky because I've learned how to use my anatomy to shape and create my external world, my physical reality. And you can too. Start right now. All you have to do is think and say, I am lucky. I am lucky. Luck finds me. Everything works out in my favor. Just try it. But you got to make it a daily habit or you won't get results, especially if you're pessimistic, okay? The good news is you can always start reprogramming your brain to believe something better. The next time you feel jealousy and resentment towards someone, make a shift and be a thought snob. See new objective beliefs and look at the facts. The facts are that person has a brain, and so do you. They have something you want, and that's why you feel jealous and resentful. The only difference between you and them is that they might use their brain to their advantage. Now, before I go, I want you to always keep something in mind. If God doesn't bless one person more than the other, what's the reason for the vast differences in lifestyles? Think about it. Why do some people have it all while others struggle their entire lives and have nothing? I'll leave you to ponder that. Now, if you have any questions or comments about anything I've said, please leave those in the comment section. And if you love the Thought Snob podcast, please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. If you're listening to this episode, you can find all Thought Snob podcast episodes on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find the Thought Snob podcast on all major podcast platforms. And as always, I appreciate you being here with me again, and I'll be back next week.
The Thought Snob podcast with Paula Swope has been brought to you by Thought Snob Media in association with Special Purpose Studios. All production, mixing, and sound engineering by me, Will Swope. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Please take a few seconds to give us 5 stars and leave a review. See you on the next Thought Snob podcast with Paula Swope.